respect needs to be mutual. It has to be mutual. You have to respect the other person, respect their being, respect their views.
Human beings inherently need to feel valued.
Yeah.
That's one thing. We need to feel loved. We need to feel valued. And when you don't respect people, they don't feel valued. And so when they don't feel valued, they don't want to give value.
Hello and welcome. We are so honored that you're here to join us on another episode of Relationship Real Talk. My name is Julius Enyolu.
And I'm Mary Enyolu. We are your hosts on the Relationship Real Talk show, where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real.
Yeah. Today we're going to kind of continue from the live show. During the live show, we had the opportunity of dealing with some very, very heavy questions.
Interesting questions. Yeah, we didn't quite exhaust all the questions that were asked. So we're going to go through some of them now. But if you haven't yet subscribed to these shows, please do hit the subscribe button. If you do have a question that you would like to ask us, please put it in the comments. We'll deal with it on the next episode. But the first question we want to look at today is, how do you know a relationship is healthy?
Yeah.
Now, we looked at this question during the live show, but parts of it were not recorded. So we're going to deal with it again.
May I rephrase the question? How would you know your relationship is healthy? As opposed to going around and saying, that relationship is healthy, that relationship. How do you know your relationship is healthy? Where there is a match between experience and expectations. Yeah? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, when there is a marriage between expectation and experience. So if what you expect in your relationship matches what you're experiencing in your relationship, then you can confidently say your relationship is healthy. So I say that very cautiously because I don't think there is ever a relationship where every aspect of their life is perfect. So because of that, you're going to have to be very careful how you score things. For example, if you're dealing with communication, if you're dealing with financial progress and several other things, take a chapter at a time and look at that. Even if we're not there yet, are we making progress? Even if you're struggling in an area, have we talked about it? Are we open to conversations about it? Are we ready to get help if we need to get help? Are we making progress in the direction of our desired endpoint? Then you can say, yeah, you have a healthy relationship. But if it's negative in the several areas leading to it, then you got a problem.
I think for me, looking at a relationship, relationship is between two people. So there are two people in this relationship. So the question is, are you healthy? Are you happy in yourself? So if you're not happy, if you're feeling a bit, frustrated, or you feel like, a bit of anger. When I say a bit, actually, not just a bit, a lot of anger. If you're always angry, always frustrated because of this relationship, then that relationship might not be healthy. That's not to say, though, that if there are things you're working through, as long as you're both working through it together, but you're not quite where you want to be, that does not mean the relationship is not healthy. So for me, in a nutshell, if I was to just pick on two things that I would use to, in a sense, gauge the healthiness of my relationship, it would be, number one, how well are we communicating? Because communication, I think, is a key piece. If we can keep the communication channels open, and we wrote a book, we published the book, we hope you've got your copy. It's called 30 Ways to Divorce-Proof Your Marriage. And this is one of the things we're saying in the book. Keep the communication lines open, right? Keep constant, continuous communication. So when there's things happening that people are not happy with, sometimes we shy away from communicating because we're upset, we're angry, and we don't want to talk. That is not the right thing to do. That is unhealthy. So you now move from the issue. Say, for instance, the issue is you don't help me enough in the house. You now move from that issue to add to make it complex by not talking about it. So for me, whatever the issue may be, whether, like you say, it's finance, whether it's, your sex life, romance, the way we raise the children, whatever the issues may be, if you can keep the communication channel open and you're both willing to discuss and learn from each other, the fact that you're working through all those other things does not mean your relationship is it's not healthy. But when you stop that communicating because maybe one person is holding a grudge, one person is not willing to be open, then you can start to go into an unhealthy relationship. So communication is key, but also being open and willing to forgive is key. For me, those two are really important. This is something we talk about in the book. We say, let go and keep letting go. Doesn't matter how many times you have to forgive, you keep letting go, because you can't bring baggage from the past hoping to move forward. So if you can keep letting go, forgetting the former things, forgetting the things of the past, and keeping that communication channel open, regardless of whatever you may be going through, you can maintain a healthy relationship.
Absolutely. A healthy relationship don't just emerge, they are worked at. And it requires time, patience, and several other things. So the end result is total happiness. But to get there, it may take a lifetime. But as long as you're moving forward, then you have a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
If you're stagnant and you're not happy, you're not willing to pay the price, then you've got an unhealthy relationship.
It's so important to stress that, so you don't think your relationship is unhealthy because you're working through things. Now, of course, it could be unhealthy. It could be that the relationship is actually unhealthy, but you're working through getting yourself back to health. That is not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. Now, if anything we've said is spurred another question, raised another question in your mind, then please feel free to put it in the comments and we will deal with it on the next episode.
Absolutely.
But for now, the next question says, why is respect important in relationships? Why is respect important?
Respect is huge. I hope there isn't anybody out there who believes that a man is superior to a woman, period, and therefore respect is not even a topic to be had.
Well, it is to be had, but it's always about the woman respecting the man.
Right. Okay. I didn't see it that way. Respect needs. I'm saying that very emphatically because it needs to be emphasized. Respect needs to be mutual. It has to be mutual. You have to respect the other person, respect their being, respect their views, respect them, period. Because if you respect them, you make them feel valued. You're contributing towards their mental well-being. You're contributing, building confidence in them. It's super important. And when you respect people, they give you more than you actually could imagine. But if people feel unrespected, they're going to guard their space and protect themselves against you. You become the enemy, and an invisible wall emerges.
Absolutely. RSPCT is very, very important. If you don't respect me, then you don't ask me for my opinions, or even if I voice them, you don't take them seriously because you don't respect me. If you don't respect me, then you do whatever you like because it doesn't matter. I don't matter to you. If you don't respect me, then I don't hold value to you. And when you think about it, all those things are important. If you don't respect me and you say you love me, can you really love someone without respecting them?
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
I don't think so. You can't say you love someone and you don't respect them. So respecting someone is holding them in high esteem. That's what it is, isn't it? And those are ways we show respect, by listening to people, taking their views into account, taking their feelings into account. And if you don't do any of those, how can you truly say you love the person? So it doesn't matter the kind of relationship, to be honest. It could be love relationship, it could be relationship with your work colleague, with your children. We don't talk about it often, but we need to respect our children because they're human beings. You're laughing.
The reason I'm laughing is growing up in the culture I grew up in. I'm sure our parents thought they respected us, but it just
I don't think they did. I don't even think it crossed their mind. It just wasn't something they thought about.
Even
No.
if they did, it just never showed, And we can't, regardless of where you are where you're living now, whether in the West or the East or wherever, you've got to respect people, because if you don't respect them, you're eroding their self-confidence,
Their self-esteem.
self-esteem.
You can damage
Yeah.
their self-esteem. And the truth of the matter is, human beings inherently need to feel valued.
Yeah.
That's one thing. We need to feel loved. We need to feel valued. And when you don't respect people, they don't feel valued. And so when they don't feel valued, they don't want to give value.
No.
So what if you're now in a relationship with someone who you don't value, and as a result, they don't feel like they have any value to add? How can that add value to the relationship?
No,
they can't. They can't. So
it's very simple. If you don't value somebody, they cannot add value to you.
Yeah.
And God forbid, if you're in a relationship, marriage or whatever, you don't value the other person. What are you doing in that relationship? It's
really super important.
It's fundamental.
It is basic.
Yeah.
It's basic. So hope that answered the question. Respect is absolutely key. You cannot say you love me and not respect me.
Yeah,
It's impossible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You cannot say you value me and not respect me.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
That you can't. And the thing is, at the end of the day, if you don't respect people, don't expect them to respect you. They may give you camouflage respect if you're their boss.
Yeah.
Let's talk about work, for instance.
Yeah.
If you're their boss, or if they're your boss, they may you may pretend because you need your paycheck at the end of the month. And if you are the boss and you don't respect people, don't expect them to respect you.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Well.
They just won't. So respect is key.
It is.
Clearly. But if we haven't quite answered the question, if there's something else at the back of your mind and you're going, or you didn't really deal with it as much as I wanted you to, then let us know. Yes, absolutely. We would like to really deal with it. Now, this next one is an interesting one. It says, should couples get along with each other's family members before they get married? That is a really interesting question.
I think it is important there.
Well, no, do couples need to? That's the question. Do couples need to get along with each other's families before they get married?
Where do you draw the line, though? So whose family, and how many people are we talking about here? Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because families could extend into hundreds. So do you need to tick a box with each one? I think you just need to learn to get along with people. Period. And that's a skill that can be learned. How to deal with people, how to handle grievances, how to communicate effectively, how to value and honor people. Those are basic, well, they're not basic, but those are fundamental to every relationship, And if you learn that for one person, you will carry it over to every other person. So, of course, yes, it is important that before you go into marriage, you have a great relationship with your family. And I don't mean each one of them, but at least that should be the goal. Because in many cultures, marriage is not just between the man and the woman. It's between the man and the family of the woman.
It's the family,
or the woman, and vice versa, basically.
It's the whole family. And you're right. We all should develop that skill to get along with people. That's the way we succeed, because everything we do in life involves people. And if you don't learn how to get along with people, there's so much stress, honestly, that just from experience, there's just so much stress that you will go through if you don't learn how to get along with people. It's just so simple. So if you unnecessary stress. So if you just learn great communication skills, improve your emotional intelligence, those are two key things that are so important. So learning to get along with everybody is key, and you can, by the way. You can get along with everybody. You can, obviously on different levels, but you can. But talking about specifically, looking at this question, do you need to? I think that that word need is key there. So I suppose the suggestion is, because this is a different kind of relationship you're going into, you're thinking of making this person your life partner, meaning this is not a relationship where you can just decide, you know what, we don't get along, we'll just I just won't visit you anymore. I don't want anything to do with you anymore, because their family is their family.
Yeah.
So you always have that interaction. And I think that's where the question is coming from. So for me, yes, that is ideal. Because like you said, when you get married, especially in the African culture, but not just in the African culture, to be honest, even in the West, when you get married, you don't live in isolation. You marry the family, and that's how it should be. That's why you invite the family to the wedding. If no matter how small the wedding is, you invite the close family members to the wedding, because you want to share that with them.
Yeah.
It's important. And because no man is an island, I'm not just going to divorce when I say divorce, I'm not just going to cut off from my family because I got married. I still relate with my siblings. I'll still relate with my parents. So will my husband. So if I'm not getting along with his family, it could cause strain between us.
Yeah.
So it's better if you can get along with each other's family, definitely. But if there's a situation where it is just not possible, and it does happen, either because of immaturity on either side, immaturity, because like I said, anybody can get along with anybody if they will just, develop themselves to be able to do that. But if you can't, then what does that mean? Does that mean you don't marry the person because you don't get on with their family? My answer would be no. No, you don't say you're not going to get married to, if you're sure that this is the right person for you. So obviously, we are people of faith. We pray about everything. If you know that this is God's will for you, then you don't say you don't marry the person just because you don't get along with their family members. My counsel will be to do what you can to get on with the family members. But if it doesn't work, I wouldn't, on the basis of that alone, say I will not go along with the marriage. That's my view.
Again, this is a skill that can be learned. How to get along with difficult people.
Yeah.
It comes with age, it comes with experience.
Some of it is age, I'm sure.
Because you can't just up and go because there is a difficult person in the room. You got to learn to deal with difficult people. It brings the best out of you once you've mastered how to deal with difficult people. So they may be difficult, or could it be that you are the difficult one?
Possibly. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible. Could it be that you've been, unreasonable in your expectations, and so on and so forth. So look inwards first before you look outward. But if the fault is outside of self, then just learn how to deal with difficult people and get on with your life. Love people from a little bit of a space.
A bit of distance. Like one of my mentors says, don't go as often, don't stay as long. So
it's a smart
thing. So, this particular family member, it just kind of always rubs you up the wrong way, makes you feel like you're less than. Don't go as often, don't stay as long. You can't cut them off completely, but just don't go as often and don't stay as long. Okay, we're going to take one more. If you've got questions, please drop it in the comments. We want to deal with them. If you have not yet subscribed, our new target is 600 subscribers. Help us get there. Hit that subscribe button.
With you, we can.
Absolutely. So we can hit that target. And if you haven't got our book, we are sure by the time this goes out, there will be a link somewhere for you to grab our book. You really want to get that book, 30 Ways to Divorce-Proof Your Marriage. And actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go through that book, maybe a chapter at a time, or maybe not all the chapters, but just share some nuggets with you from that book. I think that would be a good idea.
We can do that.
Yeah, but for now, the final question is, how do you handle it where your partner, for some reason, just has this notion that you're being intentional in winding them up? That's not how it's phrased, but that is the question. Where they feel like everything you're doing, you know exactly what you're doing and you're doing it deliberately. How do you deal with that?
I think the issue really is with self. When people feel that the other person or other people are out there to get them, it's really because they've got issues, and they've got to just learn how to deal with their issues. But what do you do in such a scenario? Talk things through. Hear the reason they have for concluding that you're out to get them, and try as much as possible to explain things through with them. Just talk things through. Listen and talk. Listen and talk.
Again, I have to just go back to our book. I'm sorry. I just have to go back to our book because there's a chapter in the book that says, don't make assumptions. Well, it's about assumptions. That's what the actual the heading of the chapter. I think it says, don't fill in the blanks with your imagination. Don't fill in the gaps with your imagination. And that's what you do when you make assumptions. You fill the gaps with your imagination. Instead, ask questions. Get clarity. Instead of saying, I knew when you said this is what you meant. Ask, when you said this, what did you mean? That is better. So for the person making the assumption that the other person knows exactly what they're doing, they're pretending, I would say ask. But also for the other person, apart from sitting down and talking, let your actions show that the other person is wrong. So this is an example. Yeah. So if, for instance, you know that the other person is upset, just as an example, you know the other person is upset, and then you're asking them, why are you upset? And they're saying, oh, nothing. And then they're saying nothing possibly because they think you should know. I think we kind of touched on this before. No,
I'm sorry.
You better be sorry. And so you're saying nothing, and they're saying, what is wrong? And I'm saying nothing because I think you know what's wrong. You're
But what if they do?
but hang on. But it does happen sometimes, and it happens between us. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes where you know.
Yeah, but
No, but you know, but you're asking me. And so I'm like, why are you asking me? You know. So that could be a reason why somebody could feel like you know what you're doing, you're just pretending. So if you know, so if you know the reason, if you know the issue, the underlying issue, don't pretend you don't know.
You could start by saying, is it because?
Or I noticed that you look upset. Is it because? So I know, okay, you're being upfront about it. But if every time it then transpires that you knew all along, you were just wanting to hear from me, then next time something happens, it might be easier for me to assume he knows. He's just, or she knows, she's just pretending. So both ways, don't make assumptions, but you too don't pretend that you don't know when you know. So hopefully that will help.
And maybe something that can help you in dealing with it as well is just check how you communicate what you're communicating. Always look at it from, always approach it from a constructive point of view, and always use we as opposed to you. It could be something that you really want them to deal with, and this is what you normally do, or this is what you usually do that upsets me. I would rather that you would do it differently, or let's work on ABC. It will make them feel a little bit more.
Another way to rephrase that where they don't feel attacked is, rather than saying, like you say, this is what you always do that upsets me, you could say, when you do this, I really feel upset. So you're taking it away from them and putting it on you. You're just sharing how you feel without putting the blame on them. So rather than saying, you always annoy me, when you speak like that, it really does annoy me. So it takes away from that personal attack just slightly. So we hope that's helped. I think that's the last question.
If any of the questions that we've answered triggered some other questions in your mind, please feel free to reach out, and we will cover it in subsequent episodes as much as possible. But thank you very much for taking time to be with us this time. We enjoy your company, and we really value you.
Absolutely. This has been Relationship Real Talk with Julius and Mary Enyolu, where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real.
If you haven't got a copy of our book, go ahead and get it. It's where all good books are sold.
Absolutely. And do subscribe before you go. Do subscribe. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.